Welcome back to Whitaker Writings. I'm Jason Cormier, and today I've got a few exercises to help you become a better writer. Before we get started on our exercises, I'd like to talk a little bit about showing and telling. Showing and telling are the two ways that we can deliver information to our reader. And there's a lot of confusion about showing and telling. A lot of new readers are told you should show, not tell. However, you find out that that's just something that beginners are told to allow them to break the habit of telling their reader too much. Once you become an experienced writer, you realize that you don't need to just show your reader information. You need to have a balance between the two. Understanding the difference between showing and telling is not an easy concept, though. For those that do understand it, it's like night and day. It's very easy to understand when you're showing versus telling. But for those of us who don't quite understand the difference between those two, it can be one of the most frustrating parts of writing. In order to understand the difference between showing and telling and the relationship between those two, we need to understand the differences in the ways that we can receive a story. The first way is to witness it. When we witness a story, we are getting a sensory understanding of the events that are happening. I'm watching something that's happening and taking place. I'm hearing the sounds. I may even be able to smell or feel or taste what's going on. Those are ways that I can witness the story happening. When you witness something happening, you are getting a sensory understanding of what is taking place. This is how movies portray things to you. You get to see what's happening on the screen. You hear the sound effects or the dialogue that's taking place. That's your primary source of information. To see how this works, click the link below to watch A Tale of Momentum and Inertia. It's a short film. It only takes about a minute. It will give you an understanding of what I mean by witnessing the information rather than being told information. The other way you can receive information in a story is through explanation. Now, explanation is when somebody just tells you what is happening. You don't really get a visual of what's happening, or you don't really hear or feel or get any sensories for that matter. But what you do get is a gist of the information fed directly to you. Our poor cat, Natsu, who is being very verbal in the background, is an inside-outside cat, and he was attacked by a stray who came on our property last week. And his paw was injured pretty bad, and as a result, we've had to keep him inside, but he wants to continue going outside. As you can tell, he agrees with me. A lot. This is Natsu. And he had his little paw hurt. I don't know if you can see his paw. But yeah, he got hurt pretty good. So he's still healing. And he's the one making all the noise in the background. So maybe I can get him to relax. We'll see. A lot of times explanation can be used to give information that's not necessarily part of the action that's going on, like internal thoughts, or maybe even a look into the past and what's happened before. Explanation can also be used by the narrator to give information that may clarify something. As an example, I'll give an explanation to the video that I have linked below. A creature wants to build a home, but misfortune puts a town in danger. Wanting to protect the town, the creature struggles to stop the danger. It succeeds, but not without a minor mistake. The village retaliates, unappreciative of being saved. The creature changes its mind and lets the town perish. The third way you can receive information is through experience. Now, experience is by far the best way that you can receive information because everything from your thoughts, your internal feelings, your emotions, even your decisions all take place in experience. And no matter how many times you're told about something happening, it's never going to be the same as when you experience it yourself. Seeing somebody else burn their hand or being told that somebody burnt their hand will never compare to what it feels like to actually burn your hand on a stove. Your goal as a writer should be to bring your reader as close to experiencing the information as you can. Now, you can't force your reader to go burn their hand on the stove so they can understand what the character's going through more. It's not going to happen. Maybe. But what you can do is use a combination of both witnessing as well as explanation to really drive home the point of your story. And that's where showing and telling comes in. When you show your reader a scene, you are allowing them to witness what is happening. When you are telling your reader information, you are giving them an explanation. Now, those two things go hand in hand. Showing alone is not enough. You have to accompany your showing with telling. To give you an idea, I'm going to read you a scene 2 separate times. The first time I'm going to use nothing but showing. I'm going to give you all the visuals of what exactly happens in the scene, the action. The second time, I'm going to restate all of the showing elements, but I'm going to accompany them with telling. And I want you to see how that changes the information that I'm giving you. Showing alone. Sarah hears the water sizzle from the other room. Vaulting over the couch, she runs to the kitchen and finds the water boiling over the pot. She grabs the handle, pushes the pot to the back of the stove, and her hand brushes the burner. She snatches her hand away and backs into the cabinets, dropping into a seated position on the floor. Her heart races, eyes dilate, and tears stream from her unblinking eyes. In this scene, you get a chance to experience everything that is happening to Sarah as it's happening. And it may seem like you understand exactly what's going on, but you also have your own assumptions. And those assumptions stem from the fact that you don't quite know what exactly is going on between those details, between the action. Now, using the same scene with telling, I can add extra information to clarify what exactly is going on that you can't see. Showing with telling. Sarah hears the water sizzle from the other room, pulling her attention from the television. She'd forgotten the potatoes. Vaulting over the couch, she runs to the kitchen and finds the water boiling over the pot. I've ruined dinner again, she thinks, chastising her stupidity. She grabs the handle, pushes the pot to the back of the stove, and her hand brushes the burner. She snatches her hand away and backs into the cabinets, an old memory resurfacing that she thought was in her past. She can see her father's angry eyes, his sloppy face, can smell the whiskey on his breath, even though she knows he isn't in the room. His voice screams, hand grabs her wrist violently and holds them to the hot stove. She drops to a seated position on the floor. Her heart races, eyes dilate, and tears stream from her unblinking eyes. So this is the same scene. I didn't change any of the visuals, but by adding the telling portions, you get a chance to understand exactly what Sarah is feeling and why she is reacting the way that she does. You get a chance to hear her internal dialogue and even understand what it was that had her so distracted that the potatoes were boiling over in the first place. By showing and telling our reader the scene, they get a chance to relate to the character. We get them as close to experiencing the scene as possible. They understand why things are happening, not just seeing them happen. Dialogue is another great way that we can show our reader information by allowing them to engage in conversation between two characters rather than us telling them the information outright as the narrator. However, you want to be careful when using dialogue that you're not dumping information in your dialogue for the point of getting that information to the reader. You want to make sure that all the information in dialogue has a purpose and a point to it. People have a lot of issues writing good dialogue, and that's something that we're going to have to spend a lot more time than we have in this video to go over. So I'll save that for another video. For now, I want you to focus on showing and telling and how to get our reader to experience our story rather than just witnessing it or rather than just being told the story. We want them to be drawn in and feel like they're a part of it. And that goes by mixing the two elements together. So at this point, you should have a basic understanding of what it means to show and tell and the relationship between those and how it goes together to allow our reader to experience our story. The only way to become better storytellers is to practice these elements of writing. You'll find that it's actually very difficult to not tell, It's also incredibly difficult to not show. Most writers naturally use a little bit of both, at least in their stories, even if we tend to lean towards one or the other. Now, I have 3 exercises for you that are going to challenge you to really think outside of the box. In exercise 1, you're going to write a story without using dialogue or narration. That means that everything you write has to be something that can be witnessed by your reader. They have to be able to see it, to hear it. As an example, go ahead and pause the video and watch the short film that's linked below. It will give you an idea of what I mean by no narration and no dialogue. I want you to keep the story under 500 words or 2 pages. This doesn't need to be a long and drawn out story, but what you should be focusing on is trying to give your reader as much visual as possible. You want them to be able to see every aspect of what you're telling them. Rather than telling your reader that your character is sad, you want to find a way that you can visually explain that. Let your reader understand that he's sad through the visuals that you're going to give them. Now, this is not an easy exercise to do, and I completely understand that. If you'd like to read my own attempt at this exercise, I'm going to link my short story Gone Fishing below. Feel free to check that out. If it helps, I want you to think that your reader will not be allowed to read anything that you write. Instead, they're going to be shown through a video everything that you put on your paper, which means if they can't see it or hear it, you can't put it in there. Now, in exercise 2, you're going to rewrite the exact same story you wrote for exercise 1. The difference is we're only going to tell information. As a matter of fact, your goal should be to tell the entire story that you wrote in exercise 1 without using any visuals. You want to use as few words as possible to relate and convey the story to your reader. What exactly happened? Why did it happen? And that's it. You do not have to give any sensory information. Don't describe the looks on their face or the reactions to it. Just say what happened in the video. An example to exercise 2 is the explanation example I gave you earlier in the video, where I explained the tell of momentum and inertia without giving you any visuals. I just told you exactly what the video portrayed. In exercise 3, I want you to put those things together. Take the story that you wrote in exercise 1 and add the telling portion that you did in exercise 2. Use the narration as a way to expand upon the things that your reader cannot see, but that add to the story, that give us more information, that allow us to feel and really experience what is happening in your story. By separating these 2 things, it can allow us to get past that scene that maybe we get stuck on when writing our story. Try it with the next scene in your current book. Write just the visuals of a specific scene, and then go back and add in all the narration and the additional things afterwards. This is something that's helped me get past a lot of scenes that I've been stuck on. Rather than focusing on all the details of what the characters are thinking, all the backstory that I'm supposed to put in there, I just think, what exactly do I want my reader to see? And then I can go back in and add in all the narration and the dialogue and things that help enhance that specific scene. Now, if you did these exercises, let me know how they went for you. Did you find them difficult or were they rather easy for you? How well did you understand the concepts of showing and telling and their relationship before you watched this video? I hope this video helped you out, and if it did, please let me know in the comments below. If you like the content and you'd like to see more from me, please make sure you subscribe so that way you can see my videos every time they come out. I post a new video every single Monday. Drink lots of caffeinated beverages and write a lot of words. Got cold.